What is up, guys? Tonight I decided that I am going to go over something that I have discussed with a couple of people in the past, and then last night the conversation happened again, and then earlier today it happened again because then I was asking someone else how they felt about it, so I said, why not take care of it? Um, I guess one of my questions is, does anyone out there feel like feeling jealousy in a relationship is essential to keep it alive? Hey, John. And for me personally, I want to say, just like a friend said, everything in life in moderation can be healthy. But at the same time, hey Dan, do you cross the line to where it becomes an obsession and therefore a negative thing? Um, for me personally, this is the way I function. In the beginning of the relationship, there is the so called honeymoon stage where everyone is excited about their new date. Everything is going well. You're doing everything to impress this person. But for some reason, at some point, there comes a moment when, for some reason, you stop doing the things for the person that you used to do to where they liked you for it. But for me personally, when I was a little younger, not even that long ago, I used to get jealous relatively easy. But you know what? It was because I was insecure. I had very little faith in myself. I had low self esteem. I never believed that I was as amazing as people told me. I just never led a life of structure to where I felt like I had a lot to offer when it came to my femininity. Now, if you wonder why I think that way, maybe I don't want to like blame anybody because I personally think that I'm responsible for a lot of things and pertaining to my life. Like, if I want for me to live a better life, I have to work harder. If I want to be perceived as a cool, fun person and have people like me more, then I should do things to increase the potential for people to like me better. But when I think of myself psychologically, I missed out on the most important relationship that I could have had with a man, and that was my father. So, had I had an example from an early age of what a good man treating a woman is, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the problems that I encounter in my present would not be a thing. But at the same time, I don't want to sit here and be venting about my daddy issues because, come on, I'm already in like my 20s. It's something that I should just let go of, and I am pretty certain that I have. But if you ever wonder why at a younger age I used to do so many stupid things and why I still have some remnants of that, I want to say that me not having a good example of what a good, positive, reinforcing, supportive, nice, great, fun, romantic relationship is like, then if you're not shown the way, how are you supposed to just know things? It sounds like something that should be common sense, but it isn't. So, because of that, anytime that someone would have the attention of the guy that I like or the guy that I love, I'm like, well, I'm jealous. He's laughing. Why is he laughing with her and not with me? Does he find me funny? Does he think I am fun to be around? Does he think I am beautiful? And if you have the disgrace of dating a guy who does not ever compliment you, that does not do your already susceptible to being low self-esteem any favors, which is what has happened to me. Pretty much in every single one of my relationships. The only one where I was complimented on were my younger ones as a teen, but in a sense, because I was so young, I am thinking that boys would just say that out of the excitement of, well, just say nice things to the girl and you'll have her like begging for you or something. I don't know what it is that goes to a boy's mind, but I like to think that when you are young, how you handle relationships is different. Although some people do find their permanent partners at that age, I'm not sure what ingredients are present in that formula to make it happen, but for me, it didn't happen that way. So that's why I'm like, well, when you're young, you have a certain degree of stupidity. So, but anyways, in the grand scheme of things, I am no longer a jealous person. I could care less than nothing about who my man talks to. And the reason is because if this guy is serious about me, cares about me, and is respectful about me, he will come back to me and still retain his honor, respect, and give me my place. If I have to live the days of my life worried about what my man is doing, what he's saying to other people, I don't need to be with that motherfucker. See what I mean? Whereas in the past, I used to not think that way. I used to be very self centered, as in, well, I'm not having as much fun with my guy, or my guy is not spending as much time with me, or I find him having a better time with others, laughing more around others, does that mean that I am not fun for him to be around? So, but when I think about it, some conversations are superficial. I tend to be someone who's on the giggly side. Like, I can laugh at anything stupid. And some people have said that. They say, Zam, you're so easy to amuse, so easy to entertain. So, what's to keep my guy from just for the sake of relieving tension or presenting himself as cool, he is going to be one of those people who like laughs at something even if it's not funny. It's just for the sake of like having a joyful kind of atmosphere. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying with that, but sometimes people just laugh out of not even, it doesn't even have to be funny. You just laugh for the sake of being more like friendly or approachable, something like that. Like to send out the message that the conversation is not that serious. I know I do that. But I used to be jealous because I was incredibly insecure, and now I honestly don't feel any jealousy. And now I question it because I'm thinking, does that mean I don't care about losing my man? Does that mean that I am sure that I am not going to lose my man? Or does that mean that I would rather not pay attention to what he does so that I don't have anything to suffer about? And let me expand on that one. I am the kind of person who, I don't know if this is just a character flaw, if this is absolutely rude, but last night specifically, I discovered that I have an odd habit, and that is I don't tend to ask people how their day is going. I never ask people what kind of day they had. Usually, when that conversation starts with me, it starts off as I see someone and either I start telling them about my day or they start telling me about their day. But I'm not going like, oh, what was the highlight of your day? Or anything noteworthy happened. It is rare that that happens. And I guess it's rude because you should show some concern for the other person. But my way of conducting my life is if you have something to say, just say it. Like, if you really are excited about telling something to someone, you don't need to wait for them to drag it out of you, especially when you know and you have known this person for a long time and you know that they are socially awkward, that they are not the best at starting conversations. That is me. Like, the reason I try to be like very focused on my streams is because this is as much socially open as I ever am. So for me to initiate conversations is legitimately a daunting and intimidating thing. And I am beginning to accept the fact that no matter how many jobs working for the public, being exposed to people, or whatever I do, no matter how many people I know in my social circle, no matter how many very outgoing people and loud people and non-shy people I hang out with, I will always be someone who retreats into her little shell. I am not designed to be what people want me to be just because of how I act when you finally do get around to talking to me. It's like some people are shocked that I am shy and that I do not like to say much unless I have anything substantial to add. Why does that surprise you? I mean, I like to reserve my opinion until it's either requested or I just feel like my input is absolutely like imperative. But other than that, I don't go out of my way for conversations. I am okay being like by myself, like just being introverted. I like to have nice people and I like to have friends, but it's just odd to me that people expect that I am this person who's like very outgoing and open to conversations. And I'm like, no, I'm just good at my job. Sorry. But outside of that, don't get the wrong idea, you know? But anyways, guys, I'll get back on track in a minute. I want to see what you guys are saying in the comments. I don't want you to feel neglected. Oh crap! I knocked this thing out. As long as it doesn't undermine trust or respect, a little jealousy can be okay. See, another way that I discuss the jealousy aspect is, does that really enhance a relationship? But it's just weird for me to think that someone would try to do that. It's like, okay, let's say that I'm out in a date with my guy, and then I end up feeling salty about how boring it was. And as opposed to talking to him directly and telling him, hey, honey, this is like the fifth date that we go out on, and it's kind of boring. You know, what can we do to spice shit up? Instead, I decide to recruit another male friend and go out with him and pretend that we're having a blast, and I will incidentally just so happen to be in the same place at around the same time that my man just happens to frequent, and then it's like an accident, and then I introduce them to my male friend so that they don't suspect that I'm having an affair or some shit. And it's like, what kind of game are we playing? You know, we're adults. So um to do that, it's just odd for me because I wouldn't like for someone to do that to me. Like, I want you to talk to me if you think that as your girl, I am not satisfying you or I'm not doing my job right. See what I mean? But for you to be like, oh, I'm going to recruit someone of the opposite sex and hang out with them and then have my partner see them to see if they get some, to get a reaction out of me. What are you, a child? See what I mean? But maybe some people like that. Some people like that feeling of like the possibility of losing your partner makes you not take them for granted. But there are literally so many other ways that are definitely danger free that you could do that and achieve the same result. But for you to recur to such tactics, for me, it wouldn't work. For me, I would be like, sorry, are you actually trying to trigger my jealousy? First of all, I'm no longer a person who gets jealous. And second of all, if you're looking for a relationship in which I am overly attached to you and begging you and imploring you and just, what can I say? Like following you like a lost puppy. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not emotional like that. So if that's what you're looking for, I am not the right girl for you. You know, but because it's nice to feel wanted and desired, but when you are like a flea that's just stuck to me, sucking on the blood, it gets exhausting. See what I mean? So again, on that note, I would say a little bit of moderation would be good, but for you to deliberately recruit someone else to try to get a reaction out of me, yeah, you'll get a reaction out of me, and it won't be the right one. See what I mean? So I'm just a strong believer that things can be resolved by having a nice ass, open, honest conversation. But I feel like a lot of people these days are just afraid of doing just that, having a conversation. I don't know why, but it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to express their feelings because someone gets triggered or they get belittled or anyways. Anyways. I think a little jealousy is to be expected, maybe even unavoidable, but there is a definite line where it becomes excessive that ideally should not be crossed. Please do an ASMR video. You know what? I thought about doing it. I nearly did it, but I would have done it with food and I ate more than my caloric intake should be today. So I'm not allowed to eat anything, or, well, I have not allowed myself to eat anything until tomorrow, but don't worry, ASMR is on my mind. An ex girlfriend tried using jealousy to get what she wanted. Hello, Zamri. Hello, Jordan. Jealousy is a fear thing that just needs to be tamed through maturity. Fear of loss is natural, but self confidence and maturity is an excuse that comes easier for some than others. You know what? I totally agree with that because now that I think about it, dating as an older person now, it's like I know my values, I know my virtues, I know my expectations, I know what I can tolerate and what not, and I also know what my man is like. So once I get to a point where I know that I can trust my guy, and it's like, no matter what, we're tight and I feel like I am at home with the guy, like I'm not upset, I'm not stressed or anything, then why would I not be peaceful with this person? Like for me, I think the best relationship ever is going to be the one where I feel at absolute peace in. Like, we don't fight over petty things. I don't have to be explaining myself about old issues when you're supposed to just know how I am from how long we've spent time together, and the topics that we have discussed. And you never give me any motives to doubt you because I never give you any motives to doubt me. Things like that. So if your relationship does not make you peaceful, then it's definitely time to move on. And I have learned that because I have tolerated relationships where I was definitely not peaceful, I was miserable, I was being abused, but I said, you know what? I don't want to just run away because I want to be able to deal with difficulties. Like, to put it simply, I realize that in life, some people are going to have positive things to say, some people will not have positive things to say. Some people I will be able to be in the same room with peacefully, other people, the air will feel heavy. I do not like to run away from my challenges. Of course, I'm not encouraging for anyone to tolerate being abusive, but it's just that I don't like to just constantly be running away from difficult things because I feel like I do not grow and learn from them. Like, the more uncomfortable the more uncomfortable situations that I expose myself to, the more confident with myself I become and with my ability to resolve certain conflicts. I used to be the type of person who someone raising their volume just a little bit would just make me, like, it would intimidate the fuck out of me. But now it's like, you know what? You can bark all that you want, but don't touch me. We will only have a problem if you touch me. But other than that, it's like words, the wind can carry them. Actions speak more. So I cannot believe in a guy who simply tries to assure me that he is into me and that I mean a lot to him when his actions say the contrary. So that's what I am trying to convey there. Whereas if we have difficulties and I linger, it's like you can see that I am actively trying to resolve the problem. You're important. I'm giving you your place. So As opposed to having a foot out the door, here I am, you can count on me unconditionally. But if you have crossed the point of no return on douchebaggery, it's time to move on. So that's what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't want anyone to get the wrong idea out of that. Gosh, I mean, deliberately trying to provoke jealousy is just wrong. That's harmful for both people in a relationship. To Ollie Zamri, I have seen so much jealousy. People in relationship, marriage is worse. Men and women being stalkers and giving attention to others just to make each other jealous. See, in a sense, jealousy can be something that, when I think about it now, it could add a little bit of excitement to a relationship because it may, if you turn it into a game, it could be a fun thing. And the only way that I can imagine that being turned into a game, it's like, say, you start flirting about it, like, well, hey, I saw you over there chatting it up with that girl. It looks like I am going to have to do something to get your attention again. Or maybe I'll have to preoccupy you, or just come up with something stupid. Like, I've never really been in a relationship where I can be like flirty like that, but so I don't know what I would say. The situation would need to happen for my creativity to be triggered, but it's like I would come up with something stupid and turn it into a game, or be like, well, it's about time that that other girl lets you go so that I can have you back, or some shit, something stupid. But you can only do that if you're in a relationship where it's been established that you have that kind of humor. I would not do that to someone whom I'm freshly starting a relationship with, especially if it's someone whom I've just met. But if it's someone who I've been friends with for a long time and suddenly we just connect like that, it's like, sure, you know who I am, you know what I am, you know my humor, you understand me, and we're probably compatible if we have been friends for so long. So I would feel like I could take the liberty to do something like that. But even then, it's like, if you want to play games like that, like where you say foolish stuff to your partner, you don't necessarily need to recur to jealousy for the motivation or inspiration. But if it happens, then sure, it just lets your partner know that you don't take shit seriously. But at the same time, you don't want to make it a habit of tolerating that, because it can get old. No one wants to feel like their partner is constantly putting them at a test. See what I mean? By trying to instigate jealousy. I think that's immature. Um, let's see. Most women are checking men's phones, and most men want to control women wherever they go. Too much drama. Yeah, on the note of phones, I have never checked a boyfriend's phone. The only time I borrowed someone's, like a boyfriend's phone, it was when I did not have internet and one of my boyfriends got like a smartphone. And I'm like, you know what? I have never really used a smartphone. What does it look like? Or what is it like to have a smartphone? And that was around the time that, because I didn't have internet, it was rare that I knew what was going on in the world, and I was so disconnected. I was not on social media. I was not reading the news. I just did not know anything about anything. People would ask me, "Hey, did you hear about this and that?" And I'm like, "No." So it was good to have that access to the internet and learn how to use a smartphone as well. But I never, ever, ever opened up the texting app. I never checked his email. All I would do was use the web browser and, of course, YouTube. Other than that, I was never curious. And honestly, when I would use the web browser, it was to look up things for me to sketch. So it's not like I was even thirsty for information like that. It was more of, I would like to pick up on my art. So I downloaded some files to then use a hotspot to message to myself to my good old iPod, which is in its last leg right now. And that was it. But I never ever checked anything in that phone. That, and the phone was primarily quiet. So it's not like there were messages arriving and unavoidably I was going to see something, like I said, I need to feel peaceful. If I don't feel peaceful with the man I am in, I am not interested. I don't waste time like that. I like to be in a relationship if I know it can progress, put it that way. Zamri, the reason you are not jealous the way is you have faith on your man that he won't cheat on you. I know it's none of my business. I'm just saying. Honestly, yeah. Why would you be with someone who you fear is going to cheat on you? If you think that someone is going to cheat on you, don't waste your time with them. It's that simple. But then again, we live in like this age of loneliness to where you're scared of being alone. I'm scared of being alone. Normally, I live out my relationships until something really fucked up happens that I cannot tolerate it, and then, it's time to let go. But if I can, I try to fix what I have because I just don't like to be going from person to person to person creating some crazy history. Like, I feel like the more failed relationships that I have, it can send two types of message. One of it is this person has experience to where they know how to cope with certain things and they more than likely have dealt with many different personality types. But at the same time, when you have a record of your relationships ending, it may look bad on you because it's like, well, what's happening to where your relationships are not lasting? Or are you the problem? Or why is no one staying with you? And then why are you not staying with anyone? Do you have trouble committing? Um, Things like that. For me, it would send the wrong message to be with a guy who has had like 10, 20 women already. So, but at the same time, I know that in life is like a journey about you learning about people, places, things. So, of course, you cannot expect for someone to have, what can I say, a small dating record, especially at a certain age. But at the same time, I like to value the people who have a limited number of dates that lasted a long time. Like, say, if you have been seeing 10 people and your relationships only lasted a few months at a time, that sends the wrong message to me. However, if you have seen 5 people and one of your relationships lasted 2 years, another lasted another 2 years, another lasted another like 3, 4, 5, then you had one that lasted a year and a half. That makes sense. That looks like a person who clearly tries and puts effort, and I don't see that as questionable. But if you're someone who's like, no, I cannot trust you if you cannot hold on to a relationship. Relationships are not tough. Drama and people who like to be dramatic, that's what complicates relationships. But relationships are not difficult. Just trust me. Do your thing, do what you gotta do, and relationships are not difficult. They're not. Just trust me. They're not. Or maybe I just have an overly simplistic way of seeing life that I'm just peaceful and chill all the time. Like, I like to think that I'm like the easiest people that you can be with, but try. If you don't try, then I cannot give you credit on much. I will never be getting into anybody's business or relationships or marriage. Feel free to ask anything that you want because, shoot, that's why I like to sit here and just ramble away. I like to tell about my stories and experiences. I hate men and women going crazy after the breakup, want to kill that person. It's billions of men and women in the world, not just that one man or woman. People need to move on. I know that love hurts. Yeah, that demonstrate that this person had an obsession. And obsessions are definitely something that I fear, and I am so glad that I have never been in a relationship where someone was deadly obsessive, like the threatening type, or say like if you're not with me nobody else can have you, that person is a psycho. But how are they not in jail, right? But just, I guess relationships are painful when they end because it's like a blow to your ego, but just move on because if you end your relationship because someone didn't appreciate you, someone out there will think that you're amazing. It's like, I'm not sure if I got around to mentioning this in one of my streams recently, but recently I've been looking at clothes and what's trending, what people are buying. To me, a lot of the things that people were buying was just ugly. But when I think about it, it's like, okay, I have my style, I have my taste. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. But whatever it is that you create, someone out there will think it's amazing. Even if it's not hundreds or thousands or millions of people, someone out there, if they saw it, they would be willing to have it because they just like it. Even if it's absurd and uneven, someone out there will think it's amazing. And honestly, it took me having this channel too to aid me at convincing myself of that fact, because I always thought the type of videos that I put out, they will never interest anybody. They will never retain anybody. And there are so many of you out there, especially those of you who seem to be committed to watching everything that I put out, you know? It's like my thing is not the best thing out there, but some of you guys think that it's amazing. Some of you guys think that the way I think it's amazing. The way I dress is amazing. The way that I uh, style my hair is amazing, even though for the longest time I didn't like it. You know, so just remember, you do not need to please those who you want to please. Someone out there will like what you do, period. But I guess we become impatient at not receiving the positive feedback. We are so needy for validation, attention, and what is it, compliments and praise. It's like, praise yourself. If you're proud about what you're making, what you're creating, what you're designing, just keep it to yourself. And if someone likes it, then you can be like, oh, thanks so much for the compliment. I put so much time and effort into it. Just do things without expecting praise, because I feel like a lot of people just get destroyed because they don't get the attention that they sought after. And I'm like, no, have faith in yourself. Damn. See what I mean? But then again, I can only say that now after all of my experiences, because at some point in my life, I was that person. I was looking for attention. I was looking for like praise and compliments, and once I stopped feeling like I owed the world something, then that's when my life became better. But you know, that's just words that I'm throwing out there. It's something that you have to go through to realize that. So at least I acknowledged it, and the moment I acknowledged it, that's when I was able to truly move on from that mess. Let's see. Zamber, you can talk to me anytime. Always be your friend. I appreciate that. It's all about loyalty, relationship, as long as the relationship is not psycho. The perfect relationship is a mirage. Did an ex physically abuse you? No. It was more emotional abuse, which honestly, I feel like I can tolerate physical pain better than better than emotional pain. Even though I have fortunately never been physically abused, but it scars you for sure, because it's one of those things that once you go through it, you never look at the things that you looked at the same. Even the stuff that's not harmful, even the stuff that's just perfectly innocent. Um, and you tend to recur to some self destructive behaviors. Like, for instance, the other day, I had a little bit of an issue with a friend because he had just fulfilled something, and of course, the right thing to do for someone who had just accomplished something that they put so much time and effort into, and that they were feeling great about it, is, you know, continue celebrating with them. Just keep congratulating them, share their excitement. But you guys know me. If you have had the unfortunate luck of receiving a reply through your written comments, you will find it that I like to troll. like crazy. To me, trolling is like my default. And then this person, I should know better that this is the way he is, that he tends to have difficulty with tasks in general. And this was something that, again, put a lot of time and effort into pursuing a higher education. And then the first thing I do is just start talking smack about him and trying to invalidate the value of what he had accomplished by saying, someone was just trying to be nice to you and they just gave you something. And, trying to say that he didn't earn it. So, of course, he ended up taking it somewhat seriously. And I'm like, oh, that whole time I had my troll vest on. But then I understood why what I said was messed up. And I said, you know what, since sometimes I personally can be tone deaf about that type of thing, when not to cross the line between making a joke and just maintaining the integrity of a conversation. How about if we just don't joke anymore? And that's pretty much what I've been doing lately, just staying low and only saying what I mean to say, as opposed to just being mean. Like that one friend who we all greet with an insult. I'm pretty sure we all have that. Or that one friend who greets you with an insult. That can be fun because you know that deep down this person loves you. But I understood that, and then I said, you know what? I'm in my 20s. I'll be in my 30s pretty soon. So it's about time that I stop playing games. You know what I mean? So I pretty much moved on from that. But it took me doing that and someone reacting in that unexpected manner for me to realize what was happening. Because otherwise, to this day, I would still think that I didn't do anything wrong. But then I see why what I was doing was wrong. And I'm like, you know what? That humbled me. I am not going to defend myself. but it's people are different. People are different. That's all I can say. Let's see. Where am I at? The perfect relationship. Okay. I'm not trying to be nasty. Most relationships don't mind a boyfriend or girlfriend going to strip clubs or going together or getting caught. You know what? I have never been to one of those. I don't care to. I don't want to. I don't even want to try to imagine the kind of smell that places like that must have. but but it's just not my type of thing. And besides, the way I treat the body is I like to respect it, and I think that the privacy of it, like intimate stuff, that's part of my intimacy, put it that way. So if I like to be pretty like conservative about, say, how I dress and what I show and don't show, then why would I go to a place that does the very opposite of what I value? See what I mean? So the idea of me going to one of those makes me pretty uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And if I knew that my boyfriend goes to one of those, I'm like, is there even a point to us having an intimate relationship? Why do you need to go to that stuff? Like, if you're not satisfied in a monogamous relationship, then again, I don't know how the male brain is wired. Maybe you guys truly do need variety to be interested in the girl you're with, but it would kind of bother me because it's like you're looking at someone else's naked body. I would imagine that that may trigger some thoughts, like it may spark your desire. And honestly, I feel like if you have desire for someone else like that, I feel like it undermines my value. See what I mean? So maybe that's not going to be a very popular opinion, but again, I'm just very reserved. I'm very like private and personal, and I wouldn't be at a strip club. Why would you be in a strip club? So that's something that I guess when you meet someone and you start a new relationship, you need to be clear about that if you intend to not give up that habit, because I think that not everyone is going to interpret it in the same way that you will. So I'm pretty sure that, say, if I was dating a guy who just really cannot give up his habit of going to strip clubs, it's like I'm gonna be like, I don't need to change you, but you cannot change me. So if this is something that we cannot arrive at a consensus at, clearly someone is going to have to give something up, or someone is going to have to change the way that they are. Usually, when a change is forced upon someone, that brings very negative consequences. So, to avoid disaster from happening, just make sure that you divulge that at the very beginning, and that way there are no surprises later, and you can not wait some like waste someone else's time. Because something that really bothers me in relationships is when someone picks the worst time to bring up a problem, something that is old. And that, please do not, under any circumstances, do that behind my back. Because if you do that behind my back, you're a liar. I cannot trust you. We cannot be together. So just be sincere. Someone out there will like you for having your strip club obsession, you know? But if the person you are with or interested in expresses like a disagreement with that stuff, then either stick around and maybe please them, sacrifice yourself if you're willing to, or just don't give up in your quest of searching someone who's going to tolerate that. But to expect for the person who you like to change for you, it's like, why are you trying to change the person who you fell for when you fell for them anyway? Why would you want to change them? That's not changing them. That's obsessing over them and trying to be controlling. And that is a toxic trait, if you ask me. But, anyways, like always, that's just my humble opinion. I'm never trying to change a guy unless he is doing something that can potentially be self destructive. Like, I used to date a guy who was just super, super, super dark. I mean, just had the most pessimistic view in the world. And I was like, sweetie, you're constantly telling me that you're down and miserable, you're tired, you're not sleeping, you're not eating. And even though you're not eating, somehow you're gaining a lot of weight. So that's not healthy. That's not normal. That's not right. At some point in your day and in your mind, you need to be able to see some sunshine. What can we do about it? So, when I saw that there was no progress being made and it was starting to affect me, I was like, we need to part ways. Because it's not fair for me to sacrifice my life. This guy loves me and has no problems with me, but I unfortunately am not happy with them. So just because I fulfilled them and they don't fulfill me, it's like 50% of the love meter is full. What about my half? Do I not matter? And it took me being in that relationship to respect myself as well. Like, it's okay for things to not go well between us. They don't need to go well because that just means that we're incompatible. That's when you pick up and go. But it's easy, again, for me to say that now since I have gone through my experiences. But I used to be the type of girl who, no matter what kind of hell was raining upon me, I would tolerate that shit and not say a word. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why did I think that I did not deserve better? See? But again, maybe it could be because I never had the example set for me from the very beginning of my life for me to be like, you know what? This is the proper way for a man to treat a lady. So I had to learn independently. But anyways, it's okay. My Although my life has been like, what can I say? I have not always been happy for sure. It's like stuff hasn't been that bad. When I think about it, my mind really amplified the severity of the situation, but in the grand scheme, stuff wasn't that bad. It wasn't. Let's see. I delete my porn and lock my phone when I get into a relationship. I love you, Garuda. My longest relationship was 6 years. That's pretty good. Especially for today's standards. I feel like relationships. Someone was telling me, like when they. This was back in the day. someone was asking me, how long have you been dating so and so? And I was like, 8 months. And they were like, oh, that's good. That's a long time. I was like, what? And then at another time, I remember when I said, we've been together for 2 years. And then someone was like, what? How? And then with my longest relationship, it's been like 4 years. And I remember the last person I said 4 years to, they were like, that long? What? And I'm like, yeah, it is starting to feel long now, but it's not that long. But at the same time, because I know that relationships tend to last like 4 days these days, it's like, you know what? Yeah, I have reached a milestone. But anyways, again, it hasn't been perfect, but at least clearly the effort has been put. True, somebody's gonna love that person. Your videos are the best. Bias Jordan is bias. I appreciate it though. Everything is amazing about you, Zam. Modesty is attractive in a woman. Me too. No strip clubs for me. I am straight. I will never go into strip clubs. It's wasting money. You're telling the truth, Zam. Why do you think it hurts when your partner cheats on you? What is the reason? Um, at least to my knowledge, I have never been cheated on, so I cannot say that I have experience, but I was told that in my very first relationship, it was possible that I was being cheated on. And if I was, I hope that I was because I was a bitch. Um, like, what makes me sort of believe that is that as soon as my relationship ended with that boy, we had been dating. We were a month and 10 ish days away from our second anniversary. And then I remember one December night, I was like, boy, I'm just tired of you. I'm tired of your crap. I'm not happy with you. Bye. Pretty much. That summed it up. And then about a week after that, he was already seeing another girl. And you tell me, if you have not been messing with someone already, how is it that within a week you can land a date when you had never dated anyone before? But, anyways, to answer your question, I think that cheating hurts because, hang on, let me get rid of that thing. Okay. I think that cheating hurts because, first of all, it is fucking disrespectful. Second of all, you have entrusted this person with your intimacy. Like, if you visualize and value intimacy the way that I do, it's I literally and figuratively do not open up to anybody. So to know that someone went ahead and did the very opposite of what they professed to me is just disrespectful and disgusting and terrible, and it speaks really bad about you. I will never trust you again. And especially if you have spent a long time with this person and you have revealed stuff to them that you have not shared with anyone else, and you were already making plans for the future, anticipating things, and then that's the payment that they give you, that is freaking horrible. So going off based off the experiences that people have shared with me about being cheated on, it's like I can feel their pain. I can feel how frustrating it is, how depressing it is. You are like cheating, I would imagine, is immediately the end of a relationship. So to know that you built something with someone for a while and then they do you like that, that's just terrible. And if, and this is one of the saddest stories that I have heard, which is if you are being cheated on from day one, that means that the entirety of your commitment to this person was a lie. You know what that's like? Deception is literally one of the worst things that I personally experienced. Like, If I listen to something that someone said and then later I discover that it was a lie, I get mad, I get aggravated, I get frustrated. And you have a right to be frustrated because why does someone need to deceive you like that? So I think it hurts because it's disrespectful, your trust is broken, and on top of that, let's face it, it's a blow to your damn pride. Because this person led you on, made you believe that everything was all right, that you were making them happy, you were satisfying them and whatnot, and then they say, you know what, you ain't all that. I want to have a piece of someone else. And it's like you begin to question, why am I not good enough? Why was I not good enough? Why? What does that other person have that I don't have? Why? What am I not giving you? And better yet, if it's something that you could have fixed and they did not give you the chance to fix it by telling you about it, like say that you cheat on someone because you're not sexually satisfied. Did you ever try talking to your partner about it? And if you did talk about it, did you consider them? Like if they say, honey, I can't do it because I'm tired, did you really like respect the fact that they're tired, or were you not believing in what they express for their exhaustion to be? Like, or if they say, I am in pain, did you dismiss them? Like, oh, just bear with it or deal with it. Or maybe we don't have to be as rough or some shit, whatever it is. Did you even try that? Because if you just go ahead and cheat on someone without even trying to fix it with whom you have at home, then that to me makes it even worse. Especially say that I was in a relationship with a guy who ends up cheating on me because he was not sexually satisfied and I could have fixed it. I'm like, you never told me that you wanted to do it in the mornings too. Like I was okay with the evenings or something. I've never been in a sexually active relationship, so I have no fucking idea what what would trigger someone to cheat. But if it's something that I can fix and I'm willing to, that makes it worse. See what I mean? Because this person, again, they did not respect you. They did not give you the chance. So, very good question because I had never ever thought about that. Um, and then there was another part. What is the reason? Well, if I had to guess the reasons people would cheat, the most popular thing that I hear is sexual dissatisfaction. But I also understand that emotional unfulfillment is just as bad. So, but in a sense, emotional cheating is kind of difficult to measure because, first of all, how do you even begin to track that down? And second of all, is it something that you can really control? Like, say that you become kindred spirits with someone. Is that something inherently bad? Or what constitutes cheating? Because some people limit it to just physical stuff. Some people would say that you can be emotionally cheated on, mentally cheated on. So I guess that comes down to the individual. But I would assume that a healthy, strong, good relationship is in order to cross the bridge to have physical involvement, you need to achieve an emotional connection. But we live in a culture and a society in which you become parents first and then find out if you like the person or not. See what I mean? Whereas I like to take my time and get to know someone, and I will not give in until I feel that I have met the guy, the best guy. And I know that I'm probably going to regret it later down in my life that I was not, fooling around when I was in my prime and whatnot. But at least I don't have any traumatic stories. I don't have, what can I say? I have kept myself safe. Because when you think about it, it's more than just a physical deed. I personally like to attach more meaning to it than just messing around to just have physical stimulation, you know. That can be achieved in other ways as well, but for me, I like for the deed to have meaning and not let me get it going just so that I can be fulfilled, you know. So again, until I meet the guy who I can be like, you know what, I can see you as my husband, it is not happening. So very interesting question. um let's see, I think that question deserved a stream on its own. Do you think you can be with someone for life given the fact that relationships don't last? Absolutely. I think that you can be with someone for life as long as they are interested in being in yours. Because I think that's the most difficult part. We are so worried about how to make ends meet and making money and stuff like that, which money is important. I get it. Relationships and marriages tend to last when socioeconomically you're doing well. But at the same time, what is your value on relationship? What do you want to get out of life? So for me, I have demonstrated to myself and to others that I have a sickening amount of loyalty, but at the same time, I have had times in which I have veered off course. And what I mean is, during a relationship, I have found myself attracted to another guy to where I can consider them dating potential. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? I don't want to fully act on it in a way that I will regret. So I pretty much did not cross any boundaries that I would consider were like terminal. But at the same time, I guess the most difficult part is acknowledging when your relationship is pretty much dead, you know? So once it hits that point, just make sure that you absolutely end it before you try to actively pursue someone else. So there is no way that if I know that I'm going to try something with someone and it can work, that I am going to be having like two relationships at the same time. But at the same time, you need to be careful because you don't want to make the other person be feeling like they were led on or something. So just be honest with the other person. Be like, you know what, right now I'm going through a difficult time in my life. I feel like I am fed up with the way things are going, but you make me happy. I don't want to feed your fire, understand why, but at the same time, I don't want to just turn you down because what if you are that person who I seek? Um, but I say that because honestly, I've been there to where I'm with someone and then it's like, wow, I have met someone who makes me so much happier, but they have a defect. And maybe I'm excited about them because of the bullshit I'm going through now. How do I know that this love is pure? How do I know that I am really falling for this person and it's not because they are giving me the best company? How do I know that I really like them for who they are? You know, things like that that can make it a little messy. So just give yourself time and don't convince yourself that you're totally into someone else who's not your partner because you never know. You never know. So it takes time. And especially when you think about it, there are so many like chemical reactions going on in your body that you're not even aware of. So a lot of the times we are driven by like the passion and excitement of wanting to break your routine and go on an adventure. Shit, I get my moods like that to where I'm like, why do I feel like I want to go climbing a mountain right now wearing shorts? You know, like something crazy. You just want to do crazy shit, and other people will look at it as reckless behavior. But when you're bored, you just do crazy shit. Like your pet, if your pet is ever an asshole to you, that's probably because they're bored. Cats are like that. Like anytime you ignore them, they get bored and they get destructive. Humans are not that different. You get bored, you start getting frustrated. So, anyways. Given the fact that relationships don't last, that's true. Relationships are really not lasting these days, but do you guys think that relationships don't last because people's values are different? Or because, there's an overall mentality out there that people are just struggling presently, especially making ends meet. So, like I mentioned earlier, socio-economically, the better off you are, the more your relationships last. Are you remaining with that person because they give you security, or does money literally resolve things to where you can be together like that? As someone who has never been able to live a relationship where I share a life on every aspect with my boyfriend, I don't know. I cannot answer that from experience. I have never lived with a boyfriend to know how money really plays into that. But I guess my philosophy is what I have mentioned in the past, which is learn to be self sufficient before you get into a relationship. Because if you get into a relationship because it is resolving struggles for you, especially financially, you are getting involved in like a sugar daddy or sugar mommy relationship. It's not a real relationship. So if you are able to sustain yourself with your own resources and finances before you met the other person, and the other person is not really solving anything from you for you, they are complementing it. That's different than you creating a dependence on that. See what I mean? So I feel like some relationships are not lasting because people see it as a ticket to, say, get out of their parents' houses or being able to split the bills. So define your values and then find yourself someone compatible, and maybe, just maybe, your relationship may last. But I honestly, it's not that I'm going to turn my back on a guy who doesn't have enough money or doesn't make good money. Because there was a time when I was struggling and I did not have a lot of money myself. I would not like for a guy to be like, "You're not worthy because you only have $20 in your bank account." But if this person has a problem with managing their personal finances, you do not need to get involved with that person. If that person is having difficulties finding employment, you do not need to be involved with that person unless they have something impeding them from getting it. Are they disabled? Are they dismembered? Are they sick? Things like that. Be reasonable. But yeah, just don't be afraid to do your research on someone. And then once you determine the kind of person that they are, if they can satisfy you, then you should be all right. I would say go for it. But yeah, I would say if this person makes their own money and they're never complaining about paying their bills, I think you're good to go with that person. But now that I think about it, it is possible that you can deceive someone by hiding that information. It's like there are certain companies that for certain positions they may run a background check on you or something to see if you have good credit, and if you have bad credit they won't hire you. So in a sense, do that with your dates. If they don't have a good credit, then don't date them. See what I mean? And it should save you a lot of headaches in the future. I would be jealous. You're hot. I believe that every relationship being together in 3 years should marry. I know all relationships are different, but anybody into relationships 10 years into it and not marrying is wasting time. You know what? I have had the conversation of marriage with my boyfriends, and of course the first one, it was kind of the fairy tale story because I was like a teenager and every girl dreams about getting married. And then the second time, it was literally we were discussing that as the ticket to get out of our parents' house, which is literally the worst reason why you can get married. And then the third time I discussed marriage, it was, I'll never forget it. It was the worst night of my life. I was belittled. I was insulted. I was, what can I say? Devalued. I was undermined. I was just, it's like I was on land and this person made me sink, like below the ground. And basically, they treat marriage like it's the worst thing ever because maybe they have observed that in their families, marriages have not lasted. And they assume that the fate that their family members experienced is what's going to happen to him. So I guess it depends on the progression of your relationship. Some relationships are able to move faster than others. And what I mean by that is if your values are incredibly similar, like say your religions don't get in the way, your political views don't get in the way, which I want to stream about that because I have been having some thoughts about it. But basically your compatibility. If it's really, really, really strong in every aspect of your life, then you are more than likely to be able to click with that person and make stuff work. But unfortunately, not everyone progresses in their relationship at the same rate. And here are a few factors. Do you have a career that keeps you very, very, very busy? Some people have careers that literally consume them, and they either lead to the failure of marriages or they would make it difficult for you to have a child and be together and handle it. Or long distance relationships. That is something that has become very popular because of the internet and the good old phones and everything like that. So, if you are a participant in any of those things that I just mentioned, I want to say that's going to make your progression into marriage a little more complicated. You do not spend the same amount of you do not spend like enough quality time with the person to be able to be transitioning into the marriage territory. See what I mean? So some relationships they may jump into marriage quickly because financially they are set and they have the same religious values or something, stuff like that. So it's very easy to jump into it. But for some others, the circumstances just vary. So I would rather wait as long as it needs to take and be with the right guy and know that we will work toward making it work than just jumping into it and then realizing, oops, I made a mistake. This person is not the right person for me. But here's the challenging part. If the relationship takes a long time to progress into marriage, or better yet, let's say that you give your effort, your best effort into marrying and it doesn't happen. And let's say that you spent 10 years with that person. You need to somehow not be resentful of that other person. And most importantly, not be resentful to yourself. It will feel like you wasted time because you were putting your energy and effort into remaining loyal to this person and saving money to move in together or make enough money to save it so that you can finally take enough time off to date your man or something, you know? In my case, date my man. In your case, date your girl. But it's very easy after you have given so much of your time to become resentful of the other person after the relationship ends because you think of it as a waste of time. But maybe this whole time you guys were not compatible and it took getting close to getting married to realize that. That's nobody's fault. but at least you guys were able to catch that you guys were not good for one another before signing that paper, because then after you sign that paper and you want to turn back, you're going to realize that it's going to be one expensive and time consuming and soul sucking uh, journey. So I would say do not put a time stamp on how long it'll take to make something work, but I think there are certain things that should be reasonable. Like, say, my opinion on long distance relationships is they're not fucking worth it. Like, I would never take a long distance relationship seriously because it's like, come on, when do I get fulfilled? And it's like, oh, but you will learn to value your time together more because you don't get to be with each other more often. But I mean, still, you're missing out on important events in my life. I'm missing out on important events on your life. There's a lot of shit that we're missing out on. And no amount of, oh, but in the end, we'll look back and be happy that we withstood all that. I mean, that depends on the person. Because for me personally, I am ready to make things work, you know? So, time is something that I am personally sensitive about because I don't like to waste it. It upsets me to waste it. So, I would give a long distance relationship a maximum of 2 years for it to work and progress into whatever it is that it needs to. 2 years. And even then, I still think that I'm giving too much of my time. Because let's face it, let's say that you try to like be with someone for 10 years and then it doesn't work. And then that would upset me because I'm like, wow, I was occupied all this time. I could have been dating other people who I could have gotten married to and have kids by now. But I decided to remain loyal to this one person, and in the end, we did not even fucking work out. So, like I mentioned earlier, you need to somehow learn to not be resentful of that person. So, if you cannot handle it, just be truthful to yourself and don't even try. But, but what can I say? Until I try one for real, it's like I don't think that I can function like that. But I think 2 years is decent enough time to be like, okay, this person has a possibility, there's potential in this, or hell no, this is never going to work. So it's all right. Don't be afraid to admit that a long distance relationship is not for you. And then marrying this person is definitely not going to really make things better. And I would hope that you marry them when you have your situation sorted. Why are you a long distance relationship? Is it because of your job? Is it because of your family? Is it because you don't even live in the same motherfucking country? You know? So things like that. Things like that. Just remember that everything is expensive. And if you're not very in a very good financial situation, the odds really turn against you. Let's see. I tend to be rough and aggressive and have some kinks. I am single, so epic single is my favorite word. People need to chill on sex until marriage. I know people rushing into sex, not all people, but most people. Relationships don't last. Nice guys finish last. Money always first. And not all relationships are bad. There is a men's movement gaining popularity called MGTOW, or men going their own way. Well, Dan, I am quite familiar with that, and you should check out my Zam Explores MGTOW video because it was stupid. Nah, I was just exploring topics that were on that website because I know it's supposed to be men's only, but I was a little defiant of that, and I'm like, ooh, what the boys talk about. But it was a good experience because I get to read a point of view that I am not accustomed to, because usually the morality point of view is what gets exposed more, and pretty much to sum it all up, morality seems to be what SJWs are inherently for some reason. So yeah, yeah. But let me finish reading what you were saying. I just got excited that you mentioned Mekto. Uh, that you should read about. It's a movement where men feel getting married is a lose-lose proposition. And you know what? I expressed a long time ago that I feel, to a certain degree, I am saddened to hear that there are guys who think that way. But I don't blame them because think about it. In court, the woman is favored. And when it comes to socially, women get away with so much. Even when you commit a crime, women don't get punished as bad. For it even seems to be for the very exact crime. I would need to find my citation for that because I don't want to sit here and tell lies, but I feel like people get like women get it so much easier. And somehow we're trying to show this picture that women are really having a rough time. Where? We are literally the most privileged group. All we have to do is bitch and complain about something, and someone hands us something. So, so yeah, I understand why you guys feel that way, but at the same time, I am sad because I personally have a dream of having a family, having a home, having a husband, and then to know that men are afraid of that, committing into that, it saddens me because I personally have good intentions. I would never use a guy. I would never turn his children against him. Even if our relationship were to fail and say we divorce for whatever reason, I like to imagine that we will part ways in a very amiable manner. So I would not use my kids as my weapons, put it that way. But to know that guys are not wanting to take that step because they understand that financially, once you get like a divorce lawsuit, you're going to lose a crap ton of money. And more than likely, you're going to lose custody of your children. And losing custody of your children does not mean, oh, that you don't get to live with them and see them often. It means a lot more than that. It will mess your children up psychologically, especially if the mother insists on instilling uh, to despise you. See what I mean? So, yeah, yeah, I'm not really going to ramble on about that, but yeah, I understand why you guys are doing it. It's not worth it for you. I'm indifferent on LDR. 2 years seems more than reasonable. Do you know people that do LDR longer than two? Honestly, no. I don't think I have met anyone who has been in a long distance relationship at all. Well, in high school, I used to know a girl um who dated a guy who lived in another state, but she ended up cheating. So so that didn't end up well for her, but they were together for only a few months. But again, high school, can we really count that? No. No. So no, I do not know anyone on a long distance relationship. Loyalty is better than money in relationships. Absolutely. Divorce should be illegal. You know what? I think you, if you have to get a license to operate a vehicle, and before doing that, you have to pass a test, I think that you need to pass a test that A, indicates that you are knowledgeable and in good enough shape to be a parent, which in a sense is immoral, I guess, because you should not deprive someone of their right to reproduce. But if you're going to be a responsible member of society and not give your children up for abortion, for adoption or abort them, then I think you should definitely be examined on your fitness to be a parent. So I think you should also take a test at being fit for marriage. But now, this is where I make it messy for you guys, and the cynical side of my brain kicks in. But at the same time, divorces are great because lawyers get to make money, and the court benefits from that too. So, are we really trying to get rid of divorces? You know, because let's face it, we live in a society that's very much in love with money because money is important and yada yada. But if you really want to think about it critically, that's a business that would be affected. And you know that us Americans, we like to make that money. So, but I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I truly do. I think that no one deserves the trauma and just emotional trauma that is associated with a divorce. And the saddest thing to me is that when there are children involved, they tend to be the ones who suffer the most, especially when they're really, 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 really young. So I just thought that I would throw that out there. God, see everything men, women do. I lost everything in a divorce plus $700 a month in child support for my one child each month. She got my house and even my personal belongings, and she is the one who cheated on me. See, that's what I'm talking about. I am so sorry to hear that you went through that experience. I really am, because you are the victim. But for some reason, the judicial system does not agree. For some reason, the judicial system says the woman is vulnerable. The woman is the one who needs to be protected. From what? From what? I do not see the female struggle. You make poor decisions in life, and poor decisions have consequences. Like, I want to feel sympathetic about the so-called victims, but you have to give me evidence that they're actually victims. Because, like, one time, I don't know if I streamed about this or if I was just conversing with a friend, but one time I was like, hey man, so there's this person who's really beat up, they make bad decisions, they consume drugs, and they dropped out of school. How am I supposed to feel bad for them? And then they were like, oh, maybe they're just a victim of the system. And I'm like, no, this person made poor decisions. Did their parents make bad decisions? Why did their parents make bad decisions? You know why I, Zam, am the way that I am? Because my mother made a lot of good decisions for me. Like, of course, I could be better, but everyone could be better. Even those who are successful or whatever, there's always someone who's having problems. If you're, say, financially successful, sometimes you're really fucked in the head. Like, when you think about it, name someone really rich and powerful who has never had run-ins with, like, the law or something, or they have never gotten divorced or something, So you are trading something. It's like, what can I say? One time I was really, really, really venting and ranting about women who expect for guys to constantly respect them, especially when they went after him for money. What makes you think that you're going to change this guy into a righteous person? If this guy is an evil human being, he's going to be evil no matter what. You made that decision to pick this guy whose values differ from yours. You cannot expect for a man who's not thinking about treating you nicely to treat you nicely. So you made that decision because you wanted to live comfortably and not work and have money. That shit has consequences. So I'm not saying that everyone who has money is going to be an asshole, but I'm just saying that typically that tends to happen. You need to do your research and find out about that person. So, yeah, women are not victims. Don't forget that. Come at me. But yeah, show me where the victims are, and then maybe I'll be like, okay, sure. There's an evil that needs to be fought. But no, no. You will never convince me that women are always right when it comes to divorce cases. No. And there are some times where the fathers do win custody. It tends to be rare. And even if you're fighting for the custody of your children, you have to go through so much bullshit to prove that the mother is not fit to keep the children. So I used to know a guy who had to go through that. Like, he had to spend so much money and be in court for like a year, 2 years to be able to win that case. And he won it because he was able to evidence with a shit ton of pictures, shit ton of videos, shit ton of Facebook messages that this lady was crazy and that she was abusing the kids too and neglecting them. So, do you not see a problem there? I would know how to solve that problem quick. or that case, but for some reason the court says the woman needs to have the kids. So, and then we wonder why we end up with children who are broken and fucked up mentally and they don't do well in school and they end up not progressing in society, getting in trouble, stealing and junk. It's not difficult to figure out what the problem is. But of course, no one wants to acknowledge any of that. Counseling and pre marriage classes should be mandatory. I can dig it. Hello, love and respect from Hong Kong. Good to see you, Jenny. Tests for parenthood and tests for marriage would certainly make relationships be more serious, but people have the right to marriage and reproduce whilst driving is a privilege, but I see the point. True, true. Um, but at the same time, it's good that we get examined for driving because even then, we still mess up. We still have accidents. We still die in car wrecks. And you're right, driving is a privilege. I never forgot that opening sentence in my driving book. But I like to think that examinations are good. And when you think about it, not even that. We still have people who end up committing crimes and using, say, guns for the wrong reasons, like, to shoot up innocent people. And you need to be tested for that and licensed for that. So, what can I say? Tests are a way of filtering and weeding out the bad people, but no system is 100% safe and effective. So that's the tricky part. But good point, good point. Let's see. Where am I at? The lawyers are the ones fucking men over in divorce court. Yep. Obama has been pretty clean, I'm pretty sure legally. You know what? I think so too. I never heard anything scandalous about him. Yeah, that's true. Good example. Rich people, famous people should not marry at all or get into relationships, too much drama, fame. Everything they do is on TV getting caught if women or men are cheating so much more. Yeah, I definitely cannot imagine myself being happy and fulfilled in a relationship where everyone it just feels like you're drowning. Like, ugh, I can't breathe because everyone is just paying attention to my every move. So those relationships that actually do make it, I have an enormous respect for them. Really, I have a lot of respect for relationships that lost in general. But when it comes to being a celebrity, that's a whole nother level of mess that you gotta deal with. And as someone who likes to avoid stress, please don't make me famous. Let's see, where am I at? My divorce took 9 months and over $20,000. That's a lot of money. Men used money to get the power of men. Women used their looks of sex to get the power of men. Us men about money, women about looks. Yes, it's like men seem to be discussing, how to make society flourish and advance more, and then women are all concerned about what's trending in Paris and designer clothes and mess. I can't be that way. You guys know that I'm always looking like a potato, and I'm happy being a potato. I feel like I get so much more done with my day. And when I go to my job, I actually do my job and I'm not concerned about my claws breaking. So, yeah, no, no. Everything is about money and life, but not God. If the Americans keep cheating, being dishonest like hell, America is killed by Americans, not Chinese communists. Shame. You know what? Yes, we are our own worst enemies. I think that domestic terrorism seems to be like our primary concern. Or should be our primary concern. But of course, we like to pick a scapegoat. Like we need someone else to be at fault, not us. No, 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 no. America never does anything wrong. America is righteous. America is all about you know freedom and everybody, and we're righteous. We never do anything wrong. But Somehow we get involved in conflicts that do not belong to us. And holy crap, I had a message telling me that my battery's running low. So I am sort of going to breeze through the remaining comments, which the last one is already looking good. And then say my lovely closing statement, and I gotta go because I gotta wake up in the morning. And then the last comment that's making me trip is Obama is married to a man. Oh my god, that is like, what can I say? It's not the first time that I hear that type of thing, you know? And every time I see it, because I'm not anticipating it, it gets me. Someone one time, I was reading a story. It was a headline of some sort of some journalist got fired over making a reference of her looking like someone from the Planet of the Apes or something. And I'm like, okay, that's definitely mean. And you can tell that there was definitely some racist intent in there. But poor Michelle, she gets all kinds of, comments. I feel bad for her sometimes. But then again, not to justify anything, but anytime that you're in the spotlight, stuff like that is going to happen. Like the videos of mine that have blown up, well, only one really blew up significantly, but at some point someone is going to say something bad about you. Like I have been told things because of the shape of my nose or the shape of my lips or the shape of my teeth, and honestly I don't fucking care. It's not like I chose that. And at least I have teeth and I can chew on things. At least I have a nose that allows me to breathe, and if I didn't have it, that's why we have like an alternative air pipe to help us. I'm just grateful for my features, but yeah, comments like that, they trip me every single time. What happened? Everybody's rich and famous. USA had slavery and so much more. True, true. And I think that on that note, I hear some folks say that America still has yet to pay for that stuff, and I'm like, well, what else are you expecting? If the empire is going to fall like the Roman one, then it'll happen on its own weight. But I cannot even begin to imagine what redemption would look like beyond what we have now. Like, at least we have the so called laws that protect um, minorities and pretty much everybody. And if you do not agree with that, then what is the institution that is breaking the law so that we can sue it? Oh, but then if you do that, the court is going to favor them. And I'm like, well, have you even tried? That's when you keep appealing that mug until it gets to the right hands to where justice is served how it has to. You know, but but then again, that can get messy really quickly. But I really don't think that like when you dwell on the past too much, it's like just learn to, I don't want to say let go. You shouldn't forget history because, as the quote says, you're doomed to repeat it. But unless there is something really, really, really messed up happening, don't provoke conflict. See what I mean? Let's see. Bye, Zambri. Take care. Have a blessed night. Thank you so much. I think you are gorgeous. Thank you so much. You are a very open minded lady. Respect you for that. You have the guts to share your down to earth opinions. So, human, just the way humans should be. And bow again. I appreciate that comment, Jenny. Thank you so much. So kind of you. Well, guys, I have rambled on and on. Let's all get some sleep if you are in the side of the planet that is already like dark. I know some places it's like daytime right now, but anyways, I gotta sleep. So thanks so much for tuning in and joining me. This was a particularly